and I was talking to my students in cello class this week because we were, one of my students played the third Britten cello suite, and he was giving a little background about it. And part of what we were talking about was that all those suites, the three Britten cello suites, and actually all of Britten's cello music was written for Rostropovich. And so we're talking about the relationship, like when music becomes really personal, and friendships develop. And then, so both Shostakovich, let's say, and Britten both ended up writing for Rostropovich all the time, right? Or I think back to like Beethoven and the Chopin Zig Quartet, who premiered like all of his works. Because I've occasionally had people say, oh, you're playing another piece by Elena? Like, that's not a big deal. It's still a brand new piece, right? And we have this long relationship. And so the music does become very personal. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that in terms of this new piece, right? So when we were together in January doing the premiere of your piano quartet in Santa Barbara, I told you about a project that I was designing or dreaming of at that point. It was just a dream then. And the idea was to take each Bach cello suite and commission, sort of do like a call and response with that. So commission a contemporary solo cello work to go along with each suite. And I asked you if you'd be interested, and you said,
Of course. For you, anything.
you said yes. And that's sort of the germ of the idea. That was pre-pandemic, of course. And actually one thing that I found that during this time, it's given me the time to plan my project a little more. And I've since commissioned 3 more of them from other people. And I have a 4th one about to next week. I think I'm going to commission that one. So, but this one came into being. You sent, well, actually, let's talk about that process a little bit. Because it was so cool. This is everybody out there in watching land. One of the really fun things about knowing a composer so well is they trust you and they want input on things. So I have actually a folder right here, which it says Elena Ruehr Bach Project Ideas. And this is filled with clips of Elena sent me multiple ideas of things she was thinking about for this piece. And because I had the time here, I was stuck at home, I recorded all of them. And all of them are titled Bach Thoughts for Jennifer Kloetzel, Bach Thoughts. And I recorded and sent them to her. And why don't you talk about that, Elena? That was like.
Well, it's really hard to respond to Bach because Bach is so perfect. And so I actually had a little trouble doing this because usually I'm not too scared of being a composer, but this particular project was hard. And so and also I never ever send sketches to people except for you. And I have 1 or 2 other musicians that I trust enough to send them these really early sketches, but I knew that you would understand that I was trying to play with things and come up with some stuff. So having you get them and then play them, and then I was like, and then I knew you wouldn't be offended if I was like, no, that one doesn't work because we're looking for the perfect thing. And so the process was really fun.
Right. So, and it was really fun for me too. And I mean, that trust goes both ways. Like when I send you something that's not perfectly worked out, even for this piece that I'm about to premiere, I sent you my first run through of it. And I'm like, please don't listen too carefully to things that I still need to work out. But it's just a really nice process where you're like, oh, I maybe take a little more time here, or I have a whole list of page of responses to that you sent me, which is really fun too. I saved that, by the way. I put them all together. I'm hoping I have a whole collection of things like that. So tell us a little bit about your working process in general, maybe.
Well, I mean, it's really, I was trained to write by hand with a pencil and a piece of paper, not a quill pen, but a pencil. And I sit at the piano and I improvise mostly at the piano. I get ideas, I start writing them down, I sketch them out, then I put them in the computer, then I edit them and fix them up and change them and push them. Then I go back to the piano and I go back to the computer. And I do use the play button on my computer to play back my files because I've learned that it keeps me honest. I learned that the computer doesn't lie to me. I lie at the piano. I'll speed up, I'll slow down, I'll do stuff. Computer is a friend and a foe. And then in terms of inspiration, I mean, I am really inspired by players a lot, and I'm particularly inspired by you, Jennifer. And And I know what you sound like, and so I try to write things that will make you sound good, and that will. I mean, everything makes you sound good, pretty much. But you know, things that you want to play, things that will make sense to you. And this Bach project was hard, but I focused on the idea that the suites are dances.
Mm.
And I said, I want to write a piece that if is sometimes a dance, but at least ends with a really with a dance, and that's Cricket the Fiddler.